everyone, this is Gino Games, and welcome to the Thoughts video following up on my Nintendo Direct reaction. So we're going to start off with the... Okay, wait, hold on. Something doesn't feel right. I'll be right back.
Dirty D's done dato cheap.
That's much better. Yeah, everyone, between videos, I worked on finishing up this YouTube avatar and this background. So now when we do discussion videos like this, I can actually do stuff instead of just talking over an image of my profile pic. But yeah, as I was saying, we're going to start off with the State of Play, and then we're probably going to move on to Summer Games Fest, and then we'll tackle the Nintendo Direct and the Sonic Central at the end. Alright? Then after that, I want to tackle a couple of channel-related things. Now, I'm going to stick to just game-based announcements in this video. Nothing film-related, like the Five Nights at Freddy's trailer, or the Craven trailer, or Spider-Verse 2, or anything like that. Just video game-based announcements. But with that out of the way, let's start off with the State of Play. There's only two things that I want to talk about briefly during the State of Play. Let's start off with the Spider-Man 2 trailer. I played the first one a lot, so I was really excited going into the State of Play, knowing that this was going to be one of the main things headlined. Now, firstly, looks great. Craven the Hunter, we saw footage of. We saw footage of Venom. Both of those characters look awesome. The symbiote suit gameplay, fantastic. I don't think I have any of the symbiote gameplay on screen right now, because I'd have to, like, get the footage of that, and I'm not sorting through a 14-minute video trying to find the correct footage, but it still looks great regardless. Seeing news about, like, how you can switch between Peter and Miles at any time, that's cool. We know that Brooklyn, and I think I heard somewhere that Queens or something, you can also now explore. That's awesome. Can't wait to do that. Moving on from Spider-Man, there was the Five Nights at Freddy's Ruin trailer. Honestly, it looks way better than the FNAF Security Breach base game did. Like, I don't really enjoy Security Breach all that much. Like I don't even want to, like, watch Let's Plays of it, because it doesn't seem all that fun to experience. But the Ruin DLC actually looks fairly decent, and the new screenshots that we've been getting as the day that I'm writing this make it look actually kind of okay. There's also a FNAF Help Wanted 2 trailer that came out around the same time that I'm showing clips from right now. I didn't really care about the first FNAF Help Wanted, frankly. I'm not really into VR stuff, because it's just too expensive for me to actually get into it. But I mean, I'm glad that they're doing something more with FNAF Help Wanted, because honestly, out of all the stuff that Steel Wolves produced for FNAF, that's probably the best thing they've done so far. And yeah, that's basically all I wanted to talk about from State of Play. Similarly, Summer Games Fest also has, like, two main things that I want to talk about. So let's move on to that now. Moving on from the State of Play to Summer Games Fest, we once again have two or three things to talk about. Firstly, Mortal Kombat 1. Great new trailer, love seeing actual gameplay. Still looks just as fun as MKX and MK11 were. We haven't seen much of the roster yet, though I am glad to see that Kenshi's making a comeback. I've always loved Kenshi since I've been playing as him in MKX and stuff. So it's great to see him come back, even if I didn't recognize him at first without his blindfold on. Though I guess that makes sense with the lore, new timeline, you'd probably make Kenshi not blind anymore. Cameo fighters actually look kind of interesting, especially as how they seem to be able to take part in what I'm guessing are fatal blows and fatalities. Plus, Stryker coming back as a cameo was not really expected. Though it is also weird seeing some of the characters that we usually see as mainstay playable characters now just cameos, as we haven't seen, like, Jax, for example, as a full-fledged playable character yet. I don't believe. But I still think the title's dumb. But MK1 still looks pretty good. Moving on from that, we got the Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge DLC. Now, this was something that I expected pretty much from the start. Most people seem to expect that Usagi would get some kind of representation in the game. Seems to just be like a new mode, no new levels or anything, but the new mode still seems interesting. And seeing Usagi playable is cool. The way they worded it in the trailer makes me think that there might be another playable character other than Usagi, but he seems like the last one they could draw from the 80s show. The new colors are pretty cool too. They all seem based off of different aspects of the Turtle franchise, from the 2012 show to Rise to the 90s movies and so on. I mean, overall, just pretty exciting news for a game that I really enjoyed playing last year. And finally, we got the main thing that I'm excited for from Summer Game Fest. And that is, of course, Sonic Superstars. Obviously, it's been about 6 years since the last 2D Sonic game. Last one was Mania in 2017, unless you want to count the Mania Plus DLC or Origins, but neither of those I feel really count as proper new 2D Sonic. Well, plus it's cool to see 2D Sonic in the 2.5D style as opposed to just the Mania style sprites. In addition to that, we have the whole new setting, we have the Emerald powers, we have 4-player co-op, which is surprisingly a first for the franchise. Why does that make sense with Sonic's speed-based style of gameplay, to where it wouldn't make sense to have co-op in a game where it's entirely tied to going fast? But I am excited to play with some of my friends now. And I really like seeing all the classic gaming representation now that we've seen her playable in Origins, Plus, and now in this. Plus, my boy, Fang the Sniper, at long last, he has returned to us. I believe the profiles on the website call him Fang the Hunter. We actually know that he's a Jerboa now, which was like a thing one of the developers confirmed back in the day. But it's nice to see that all canonized here in America. Also, just the name Fang in general being canonized here in America. Gameplay overall was really fun. I like the visuals of the zones. I like that new character Trip that we know very little about. She looks cool. Curious to see if this ties into Frontiers at all. We'll get more into that later, I guess. And, yeah, in general, Summer Games Fest, once again, not really a thing I was super excited for, but there were a couple good announcements that I'm really hyped for now. Moving on, guess I should probably address the Xbox presentation. Like Scott the Woz once said, it looks fine. There wasn't really much that I was super excited for in the Xbox presentation. Nothing that I really want to talk about in this thoughts video. But I guess the Sea of Thieves DLC looked kind of cool. Anyway, moving on to the Nintendo Direct now. Okay, with the Direct, I have a couple main things that I want to talk about. So firstly, there's the Mario RPG remake. This is probably my favorite announcement out of what they talked about, which surprises me, honestly, since it's just a remake of a Super Nintendo game. But I love the original Mario RPG. I think it's a timeless classic, one of the best games on the console. Glad to see it getting remade. Also means we'll get to see we'll see the Fat Yoshi in HD, which is pretty cool. Moving on, shortly after that we got that new Peach game announced, and that Dark Moon port. Neither is a huge announcement, but I think both are pretty cool. The Peach game looks kind of interesting. We don't know much about it yet, but there seems to be that new little creature thing that follows Peach, and she doesn't seem to have a crown, which has led to some people online speculating that it might be like before she becomes Princess of the Mushroom Kingdom, which would be an interesting angle for them to go with. As for the Dark Moon remake, I think like the 3DS one was super good, so having the chance for more people to play it is pretty good. I'm probably just gonna buy it so I can do Scare Scraper with a couple of my friends. I'm hoping that it controls better than 3, because honestly, 3's controls were part of the reason why I dropped that game. Moving on, there was the big thing that was highlighted during like the announcements, that being Pikmin 4. Now, Pikmin 4 I have a lot of mixed feelings about. I think overall it looks fairly decent, but I have my issues with it, right? Issue number 1, I'm not a major fan of the return of caves. Caves are like my least favorite part of Pikmin 2, pretty much. But I feel this game isn't going to be as good as it could be due to the fact that it simply has caves. Now, I certainly think that they could definitely improve on Pikmin 2's cave system, but I think they have a lot of work to do in that regard. I also am not super into the fact that you can only have 3 Pikmin types out at once, but I think that it's a fine enough idea, but lets them have purples be as busted as they were as Pikmin 2, while still having to be balanced. But I think that it kind of ruins the Pikmin setup. Lastly, same thing goes for the fact that we seem to only have 1 captain, which means no more multitasking. Okay, at bare minimum, honestly, if they're gonna do this, I would appreciate it if they brought back Pikmin 2's pluck a phone, and made it so I don't have to sit around for a while and pluck Pikmin from the ground. Yeah, Pikmin 4 overall looks pretty good, though I have my issues with it. And I hope that some of these do get addressed before the game comes out. Lastly, there's the Pikmin 1 and 2 remakes that go along with it. From what I heard, they're pretty good. Glad to see people experiencing Pikmin 1 and 2 for the first time. Though I will say that the license stuff getting removed from Pikmin 2 is kind of sad. No more Duracell battery. Moving on from that, I actually kind of want to talk about that Penny 3D platform game that got announced. So, I forget the name of it, but that yo-yo themed platformer from the team behind Sonic Mania. But I called it only okay looking during the direct, but I've actually rewatched the trailer a bit since then. It actually looks fairly fun, but I probably will buy it. Just probably not at launch, and like I said, I'll probably give it a chance on Game Pass if it's there, because I don't want to throw a bunch of money towards something that I don't know if it's going to be good or not. But overall, that actually does look pretty fun, to the point where it's convinced me to give it a shot. So, finally, we have the last 2 things from the Direct that I want to talk about. Firstly, the Mario Kart 8 DLC. This one's just like a brief little bit, because it's just more Mario Kart 8 DLC. PD Piranha, I was expecting him to show up, so that's cool. Glad to have him back. Wiggler and Kamek, I wasn't actually expecting to be added to the roster, especially not before Diddy and Pauline. But I mean, hey, they'll probably just show up in the next one. The Squeaky Clean circuit is kinda, or the sprint, I mean, is kinda silly, but I'm a fan of it. But I think it's a fun track design. I think I still prefer some of the other original stuff, like I think there's like a candy one or whatever, there was the Yoshi's Island one. I still prefer those to this, but it's still an alright new track. And finally, moving on from that to the thing that closed out the Direct, and the thing that's closing out the section of the video, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Yeah, I'm really glad to see a new 2D Mario game. It's been since, I think, 2013, since the last one, since the Luigi U was pretty much the last fully designed 2D Mario game that wasn't like a Mario Maker thing. Looks really weird. I love the new art style. I love the new enemy types, and the new direction they're going with the series, from what it seems. Having Daisy playable was a shock, and I'm totally down for it. It's better than just having everyone play as Blue and Yellow Toad the whole time. But I think the levels look really fun. I think the wonder mechanic is weird, but I think it's interesting enough to carry the game. And the elephant Mario is just the stupidest thing imaginable, but I'm totally down to see what they do with it. Frankly, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, amazing thing. Can't believe it's coming out the same day as Spider-Man 2. Probably gonna pick that up rather than Spider-Man 2 because I don't have a PS5. Hey, looking forward to it. So now finally, let's move on to the Sonic Central that aired on Friday. I have like one thing to note, I guess. And technically, it goes against what I said earlier, since I said no movie or film related stuff. But I just wanted to briefly talk about Sonic Prime, because while I don't like that show, that Metal Sonic design bugs me, because it doesn't really look like Metal Sonic. Now, obviously, it's a separate character, so they can do what they want, but frankly, if they're going for Metal Sonic, I don't really feel that the blue light-up head with its glowing red eyes and its peace signs that it likes to make really captures the vibe that Metal Sonic normally is. Yeah, that was the Direct and the Sonic Central. Now, before I talk about channel stuff, I do want to talk about a couple of things I just didn't have other spaces for during the video. Because I believe Capcom and I think maybe other companies had like their own little mini presentations. So Capcom announced the Apollo Justice trilogy. Now, I've never played any of the Apollo Justice entries in the franchise, though from what I've heard, Apollo Justice doesn't really do much beyond his debut game. But still, especially since these previous two games were 3DS exclusive, it's glad to see them coming to modern platforms, especially for those who didn't pick them up during the shutdown of the 3DS eShop. Plus, from what I've heard, Spirit of Justice and Dual Destinies are just really good games. And finally, there was also JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R. We got the 4th DLC character announced, which is, unfortunately, Alternate World Diego, which I find is not that great a thing, because it's kind of just Diego, but with the world again. We did get more DLC announced, which means we're getting one from Part 5, one from Part 4, and one from Part 8. Odds are, Part 4 one's probably the Highway Star, Part 5 is probably a Bakio, and Part 8 is probably just Joshu, since they already have his model. Yeah, overall, between all the various presentations, there were some really good announcements, and a lot of stuff I did not care about in the slightest. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for some of the announcements. But I do want to briefly address a couple of channel things before I close out. So as I'm sure you've noticed, I have not been actively posting content, aside from direct reactions, throughout pretty much the past year. Well, I'm going to try and change that. Now, I currently have 6 videos in the Kirby franchise that I recorded last year but never bothered to upload. They're entirely finished, so I'm going to try and get those uploaded to the channel in the next coming weeks. As for finishing out that series, I'm going to try and do that too soon enough. As for after that, I do have more plans, but I'm not going to announce them now in case those plans change, because with stuff going on in my life, odds are I'm probably not going to be able to fulfill all those plans. Yeah, Kirby is going to come back probably within the next couple of weeks, and I plan to hopefully make more content for the channel going forward. So, with that all the way, feel free to share your own thoughts on the summer game announcements in the comments below, and I will see you all next time.